This is a date I definitely told my friends about just because it was a little weird.
Now at 5, a Tinder date with Idaho's murder suspect. In an exclusive interview, hear the details she's sharing about meeting Bryan Kohberger. Plus, ski season traffic, the headache hitting our Cottonwood Canyons. But extra shuttle services are starting soon. We'll tell you when the extra rides will be available. And staying in your lane. It seems impossible during a snowstorm. What the state is doing to make lanes more visible in any kind of weather.
Live from Utah's first TV station, ABC4 News celebrates 75 years.
And good evening, I'm Emily Flores.
And I'm Glenn Mills. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. We do begin with a traffic alert. Another day of issues in the canyons after a storm brings more powder to the slopes. Skiers and riders eager to shred the greatest snow on earth, but like we've seen all season long, lines in the canyons and at the bus stops getting in the way of a speedy trip up. Now though, skiers and boarders could see some relief thanks to a move from the Salt Lake County Council.
Yes, ABC4's Kayla Baggerly live from the mouth of Big Cottonwood Canyon. And Kayla, tell us about the plan.
Well, Emily, the Salt Lake County Council is allotting over $200,000 for additional shuttle services. This is expected to start in about 2 weeks and go until April. And this is happening after an increased need following UTA cutting back on service in the canyons. Today, skiers are telling me that they're hoping this can help, saying that they've had to face long lines, resort parking being closed, and seeing several shuttles pass by before they can even get on one.
We can't get up there. Nobody's gonna have fun.
With all this snow, Big and Little Cottonwood Canyons have been a popular spot.
This morning what we saw going to Alta was just a crazy line trying to get to the canyon, even though it wasn't even open.
But not without its headaches.
Long lines, people have to wait for an hour plus, and then all of a sudden the bus gets there and it's full.
Today, one skier says he just hopes he makes it to the slopes at all.
We're only here for 4 days. I only rented my skis for 2, today being one of them, so I kind of want to ski today, and if the transportation doesn't really work out, I might only get 1 day skiing.
And some of those who work at the resort say it can make getting to and from the canyons a challenge.
I really like being here in Salt Lake City and I like working, but this is the traffic and the inability to get to work is definitely a downside, unfortunately.
Already being busy, a need for transportation increased after UTA announced in September they were temporarily suspending or reducing ridership on 3 routes. Hoping to provide some relief, members of the Salt Lake County Council voted 7-1 to give Visit Salt Lake nearly $250,000 for a supplementary shuttle service this ski season.
Resorts have really felt it. And I think Salt Lake County, Mayor Wilson's office, we all collaborated together to make this happen.
Visit Salt Lake says they will be working with Snow Country Limousine to provide different methods of transportation, like mini coaches and vans. Riders will need to make a reservation and pay a $10 round-trip fee. Skiers today say they hope it will help ease the traffic going forward.
Well, you know, the more ride sharing and carpooling you get, the better it'll be, the less traffic. So I definitely believe that that's a great initiative.
Now, more on how to help with traffic going up the canyons. The Central Wasatch Commission wants to hear from you. They're looking for public feedback on transit and transportation up at Big Cottonwood Canyon. We'll have that information on our website at abc4.com. Reporting live from the mouth of Big Cottonwood Canyon, Kayla Baggerly, ABC4 News.
All right, Kayla, we thank you. Well, another obstacle for riders and skiers hoping to hit the slopes in Alton's number today, avalanche mitigation.
Yeah, Little Cottonwood Canyon once again shut down over concerns about loose snow slamming into drivers. Meteorologist Nate Larson has been out there monitoring the situation throughout the day. Nate.
Yeah, folks, we've been here at the rideshare parking lot just at the mouth of the canyon, and it was crazy earlier today. It was a very fluid situation, but we could actually hear the boom from the explosions as UDOT's avalanche crew was mitigating some of the road conditions up here, trying to clear those out. We have footage from some of the avalanches that came down, as well as we'll show you just how deep it was on sections of Highway 210, the roadway here. All the details on that coming up at 6 o'clock.
All right, we look forward to it. Thank you so much, Nate, for your coverage there. On that note, let's head over for a first look at the forecast with Chief Meteorologist Alana Brophy.
You have to be careful as you head outside, Alana.
Yeah, not a surprise that they closed down the canyon with the heavy snow we received and the high avalanche danger that holds on. We still have snow showers happening at Alta as we take that live look up Little Cottonwood, starting to clear as the sun's going down, but we've watched how snow on this camera has continued. We are going to see the snow tapering off, but look at some of these numbers. I tell you what, this atmospheric river event really delivering, coming through with huge numbers in the last 2 days. Brighton got 37 inches, Alta at 33, 3 feet up at Brighton, more than 31 inches at Sundance, Snowbird picking up 27 and 25. At Powder Mountain, extremely healthy amounts of snow, heavy, wet, dense snow, and of course, that brings some danger, high avalanche danger, and we've seen it in the Bear River Mountains as well as along the Wasatch where we have our highest concerns. Considerable danger in the western Uintas, central Utah towards the Skyline area and on the eastern side of the state. Not a surprise, even as the storm moves on and high pressure starts to take control. You see just a few showers holding on over the mountains. We still know that the avalanche threats hold steady. It doesn't need to be snowing for snow to want to slide. Temperatures out there right now in the 40s along the Wasatch Front, 42 in Salt Lake, 40 in Provo, 51 in St. George. Mild in our valleys. We did see cold temperatures for the overnight, but now things starting to quiet down. The impacts that come with that coming up in my full forecast in just a few moments. Glenn, Emily, back to you.
All right, thank you, Alana. Well, in a weather alert, a burst of snow slamming some valleys last night.
It's called the snow squall, creating whiteout conditions in an instant. This video out of Reno showing just how quickly these short-lived storms roll in. A snow squall, just like the one that hit some unlucky Utahns on the roads last night, sweeping across the Truckee Mountains. And if you were caught in last night's squall, there's a good chance you were wishing for traffic lines that were lit up. Conditions making it nearly impossible to see your lane clearly. Turns out that's something the state is working on. ABC4 Northern Utah correspondent Kate Gardner live in Ogden to explain. Kate.
Yeah, well, UDOT tells me the paint used on all road markings across the state is already reflective, but nonetheless, they're in the middle of a multi-year project that could increase the visibility and durability of those markings.
This year, UDOT will kick off a $26 million project to improve striping on all major highways along the Wasatch Front. UDOT is also 1 year into a 3-year test project looking at how 100 different materials wear and tear under normal use, materials that could then be used in new striping. Governor Cox says road safety is a top priority and, in a tweet, says, quote, "As hard as our crews work to maintain lane markings, weather and snow plowing just destroys reflective paint. But with advances in materials and methods, we are finally making progress."
We compare notes with other states. We work with companies that are always making advances, and so I think there's a lot of reason to be optimistic.
That was John Gleason with UDOT. Now, he tells me that the Wasatch Front project will kick off this spring. He tells me that the goal of all of these projects is to improve and increase safety on Utah roads. Reporting live in Ogden, Kate Garner, ABC4 News.
Okay, thank you. Salt Lake is taking a hard look at the dozens of pedestrian deaths on the city streets within the last year.
City leaders admitting today that the structure of sidewalks and streets could be to blame. Salt Lake City is one of 45 cities joining a nationwide effort dedicated to ending all traffic deaths. Now, the effort is called Vision Zero, and leaders say the first step is changing out the measures meant to slow down drivers that just are not working.
And we can't just rely on what have been best practices when we have 26 deaths on our streets from auto-related incidents with our residents. It's not good enough.
Mayor Mendenhall noting Salt Lake is the first city in the state to join Vision Zero, but she hopes the move serves as an invitation for others to join in as well. And now to NewsNation exclusive. A woman who claims she went on a date with the accused Idaho student slayer recalls her experience.
Looking back, she says his behavior was bizarre. A woman named Haley Willette says she is 100% sure the man she met on Tinder and went out with is Bryan Kohberger, the man facing 4 murder charges in the deaths of those University of Idaho students. Willette calling his behavior so creepy that she only met up with him one time.
The big takeaway is that he seemed completely normal until, we got back to my dorm, and then he got kind of pushy.
She goes on to say she went to the bathroom claiming to be sick to get away from him, but he waited outside the bathroom door before finally leaving. Now she worries that date could have ended very differently. This interview comes as Kohberger prepares for his second appearance in an Idaho courtroom tomorrow.
And in an update this evening, Paiute High School has identified the victim in this week's deadly teen shooting as sophomore Jacqueline Nunez. Now, the school posted a fundraiser to their Facebook page in honor of the 16-year-old. The sheriff found her body along a dirt road north of Circleville Sunday night. A 17-year-old boy and student at Paiute facing murder charges in connection to the shooting. The school planning a vigil tomorrow night as other districts and even restaurants launch their own efforts to raise money for her family.
An Orem man and professional taxpayer employee is going to prison for tax crimes. Sergio Sosa owns Sergio Central Latino, where he and his employees helped Utah County residents with their tax returns, but not anymore. It's because the U.S. is sending Sosa to prison for over 3 years for evading his $1.1 million tax debt and hiding his assets and income from the IRS. The U.S. says Sosa did this by renaming his business and his home. Sosa also ordered to pay back the government $1 million. Statewide investigation into property taxes finds, quote, concerning oversight issues. The state auditor, John Dougal, says Wasatch and Summit County homeowners faced property taxes that were not adjusted with the market value of the property as is required by law. The report also claims the Division of Property Taxes has known about the issue for years, but has not changed property taxes since 2009. The auditor making recommendations to ensure all property taxes are applied equally and in line with the law.